Hey guys, my name is Akash Maduri. I'm a national master from Chicago, and I'm here today to go over a game that I played earlier this week at the Abu Dhabi Super Blitz. It was an 11 round tournament that happened on chess.com with a 3 minute plus 1 second increment. A lot of strong players competed, especially during this coronavirus quarantine, and I had the pleasure and good fortune of facing Grandmaster Jaan Ehlvest in round 7. And Grandmaster Ehlvest is a living legend amongst the chess world. Grandmaster from Estonia that later moved to the United States in 2006 to switch his federations. He earned Grandmaster at the age of 25, which, is quite late in today's standards, but he's played all the top players, beaten some very big names, and actually peaked at world number 5 in January of 1991, which is before I was born. And I'll be putting his chessgames.com link in the video description. You can check out some of his other games. But I was really grateful to have this game against him. And let us just jump right in. Okay. D4, knight f6, bishop f4. I'm playing a London system. D5, e3, and then bishop g4. This is the first move that was a little bit unusual for me. Typically, black does something more along the lines of c5 or e6. Bishop g4 is a rare move, but also a perfectly acceptable move. So when I saw bishop g4, I thought, okay, I need to try to muddy up the waters a bit and get into as unusual of a position as I can. So I played queen d3. Trying to go for something similar to a Verisov or a Jobava London. The queen is often well placed on d3 with ideas of knight c3, potentially f3, e4, and long castle. So queen d3, knight b d7, knight c3, c6, and f3. So we get to see some central expansion over here, some slow moving pawn pushes due to the fact that the bishop is on g4. Bishop h5, e4, bishop g6, h4. Again, calling out the positioning of this bishop and making an expansion on the king side, preparing to long side castle on the queen side. Ehlvest plays d takes e4, f takes e4, queen a5, and long side castling. Now, this is already going to be a position with a lot of energy and a lot of tension. Black doesn't have that much development on the king side. The bishop and the rook are still locked in. He's going to have to take some time to get those pieces out of their starting squares. But one could make the argument that these pawn pushes I've done on the king side are creating a lot of weaknesses. So this is going to be a fighting game. b5. Now this was quite unusual to me. I felt that black should play something a little bit more principled with e6 and develop the dark squared bishop so he can castle king side. b5 is a very direct approach at targeting this b4 move. Now, the point of b4 would be to remove a defender of this e4 pawn, because right now I have a queen and a knight defending it, and black has a knight and a bishop attacking. So b5, I meet with d5, lashing out in the center of the board, targeting the c6 pawn that's been weakened by this b5 push, and Ehlvest plays knight c5, getting the knight to a more centralizing square on the board, but also targeting this e4 square one more time. I play queen d4. Obviously, I don't want to lose my queen. And then b4. Now, this next move I'm quite proud of seeing in this 3-minute game. you can't always play the best moves in fast time controls, but I had some feeling that b4 was a little bit off, and I played knight b5. Now the point of knight b5 is if black takes the knight with the pawn, I have queen takes c5, because there's no longer a defense for this knight by the queen. Oops, sorry. And takes. All of a sudden, bishop takes b5 is coming. Queen c6 is in the air. There's a lot of problems for black to deal with, and this is a very unpleasant position. Also, I am threatening knight c7 immediately, so black is already in big trouble. Knight f takes e4. Knight c7 check, hitting him with the fork. King d8. D takes c6 with the discovered check. Also, this pawn is a great attacker on black's very poorly positioned king. Knight d6, knight takes a8. So at this point, obviously, you can see the engine evaluation is +8, but in the game we don't have the engine evaluations, and so I was feeling pretty good here, having this rook up, and black's lost his ability to castle. I have a great pawn on c6. I thought, okay, my position is very good, but I don't want to overestimate it, and I want to make sure that I am finishing this game properly. So Ehlvest plays knight to e6, targeting the queen and the bishop, and I played queen d5, offering an exchange of the queens. Let's say something like queen takes d5 comes, rook takes d5, and then if knight takes f4, it looks like it's just hanging the bishop. I have c7 check. The point being, if king c8, bishop a6, king d7, and then c8 queen, that is checkmate. The knight cannot take because the rook is pinning the knight to the king. So I saw this and I thought it was good, but actually queen d5 isn't the best move on the board. It's queen c4, and the point is, if something like knight takes f4 here, I have c7 check again, and because of this queen being on c4 and not on d5, I have a battery on this a6 square due to the fact that the queen and the bishop are both pointing towards there. And if something like king to c8, then this is just a very similar mating pattern. Queen a6, queen a6, bishop a6, king d7, and promote to queen. So queen c4 was a little bit more accurate. In this position, knight e6, I had 1 minute and 5 seconds to Ehlvest's 30 seconds. And I played queen d5, spending quite a bit of my time here because I knew I needed to play precisely to secure the victory. However, I did not see the best move, queen c4. So that would have been a nicely done finish. So queen d5, queen a4. And here I played b3. I was a little bit worried about, obviously the threat is queen takes c2 with mate because the bishop covers that as well. And I was a little bit worried about this, so I thought, okay, b3, queen a3, and then I thought, okay, king b1, and there's no mating threats here. I'm totally safe. But this, in fact, was a poor decision by me, and Ehlvest has a really nice shot here. He has bishop takes c2. The point is king takes c2, queen takes a2, and this, by best play, is a threefold repetition. King c1, queen a1, king c2, queen a2, and if I try to run away to d3 to avoid the checks, then I am lost because of knight takes f4 with a fork on the king and the queen. And it's a similar story if queen a1, king d2, because black has queen c3, and then I'm forced onto this mine square of e2, and black gets the fork on the king and queen. So this was an important shot that Ehlvest missed, and for me, I was just so preoccupied with avoiding checkmate, getting checkmated, that I missed this great chance Ehlvest had to save the game. But Ehlvest does knight takes f4. You know, this is a 3+1 game, so a lot of good moves are going to be overlooked. And at this point, I was feeling really good. c7, king c8, and then queen c6. This is a move I was really happy to have found. I mean, I had 4.9 seconds on my clock here, and the point is, I'm covering both of these exit squares for the king, and I'm also preparing bishop a6. And this is going to lead to a completely decisive attack for me. Notice how the engine says plus 17.2. But I will say, okay, despite the fact that the engine is saying this, in practice it might not always be as simple. You know, us humans are not as perfect in these clutch moments as our silicon counterparts. So knight e6, another blunder, bishop a6, queen takes a6, queen takes a6, knight d7, and I play rook d8. It's not objectively the best move here, but I was just trying to simplify the position as much as I could, eliminate all of these pieces, and get into an easy position. So rook d8, knight e takes d8, c d8, queen, king d8, queen b7. And Ehlvest has 11 seconds, I have 4 seconds, but the rest is pretty straightforward. Queen c7, king e8. Give a couple checks to gain some time on the clock and also figure out how I'm going to finish this game. Queen c7, king f6, knight f3, and the final nail in the coffin by Ehlvest, bishop e7, queen e5, checkmate. A very nice checkmate with the king on f6 in the middle of the board. So yeah, that was my game against Grandmaster Jaan Ehlvest. I'm very happy with how I played in that game, and very fortunate to have been able to face someone that is a living legend in the chess world. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also, I do stream on Twitch. You can check that out at twitch.tv/Akash. That's AAKAASH. I do have 4 A's in my name. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. And until next time.